Welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us on the Gym Owners Podcast today, we have another Tyler. We have Tyler Reiter, owner of Torque Strength and Conditioning in St. Paul, Minnesota. Tyler, we always jump in with the heavy hitting questions right away. Tyler, tell us, what is the hardest lesson you've had to learn as a gym owner to date?
I would say probably be prepared for the unexpected, especially in the last few years, obviously with COVID, even stuff between gym owners, stuff, everything with that. I would say definitely, prior to COVID, I thought I had everything going. Nothing's gonna, derail us. And lo and behold, boom, we had to shut down like many businesses. I think that was a hard pill to swallow, even though you do everything right.
Yeah.
Someone could make you maybe lose what you worked for.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough spot to be in too, because you can be a resilient business and kind of get by during downswings and things like this, but just stoppage, businesses aren't built for that, like almost in any form. And I think that's the thing that I think a lot of people will have picked up on in this last few years is like, it's one thing that like outside forces, weather, government, they can shut you down right away. Either of those things could come in and you can lose kind of everything with the snap of a finger, and there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, we're fortunate enough that our staff and members are amazing, so we were able to get through it. We came out the other side better, but I know a lot of business. It wasn't a fun situation.
What's crazy to me? Go ahead, John. No, go ahead.
No. You go, Tyler, because I was essentially going to transition a little bit, so you're good. Keep going.
Yeah. What's crazy to me, if I'm being totally honest, I wasn't interested in paying for a gym membership during a lockdown. You know what I mean? If I was in one of those places, if I'd love to say that during all of the hardships of COVID that I would have been coughing up another couple $100 a month for something I'm obviously not getting the same value out of as before. Okay. I personally, God, I'd love to say that I would have kept biting that bullet, but I ain't got that stuff built into to just be wasting money. It's such a testament to, I think, how good the communities are that you guys have built, to have people that are really like, my money, even though I'm not getting it all back, like I need you to still be able here to do this for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Even myself. And that's why it was so hard to luckily our business structure was sound enough to where I kind of told people tough shit they are paying. So we went online, we did like cooking classes and all this, but that was short lived. With our facility, I'm really lucky, and you've been there.
Yeah.
Where, once April hit and it was nice enough, it might have been chilly, but I was outside. I'd bring squat racks outside, all that. I'd give people 2 sessions per day, kind of like a mid-morning and mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of members showing up for that. We would stay away. We didn't know what was going on with COVID at the time.
Yeah.
Lay shit down. So we did that as soon as possible. So people, I think if we wouldn't have done that, I think it would have been hard for people to continue to pay.
Yeah.
So,
and that's where I was going to ask, is kind of getting everybody acclimated to where you are. So you guys are in St. Paul in Minnesota here in the States. And what was that lockdown? I mean, essentially Tyler spent some time, so Stone spent some time over in Europe, which is still, in some areas is bananas. Yeah. I'm in Virginia, which had a totally different setup and situation compared to, say, like New York or Los Angeles or California. Yeah. What was it like where you guys were at? And it sounded like you had at least some flexibility to be outside and even stay open.
I think for us, it was the craziest because of the things that were to come. In the beginning, we didn't know what was happening, like anybody. Yeah. So we're like, let's do the thing and lock down and, get through this shit. But as things started to progress, we started to figure stuff out more. It was more and more of like, all right, we need to be open, which then there was some backlash from that. And it's like, well, no offense, but you're getting unemployment. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll have overhead. And excuse me, but fuck you. So I think that was my whole attitude towards it. And then, I say this, I don't think we would have opened unless George Floyd didn't happen.
Oh, really?
Ooh, that's interesting.
I wholeheartedly do not believe we would have opened up as soon as we did. Just because of the riots and everything.
That's right. I forget that you guys are in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
I slept in my gym for 3 days.
Oh, shit.
My dog, my guns.
Some guns, yeah, for sure.
So I don't think we would have opened up if that didn't happen. I think some people saw the writing on the wall, like, well, these people can congregate and riot and be together, then why can't businesses be open?
It's a tough spot to be in. We talked to Everett about this in Canada, where they're responding to a different set of rules, but it's like we don't want to create a hill to die on either, because it sucks. We're here just trying to do fitness and try to make a living and try to like make a healthier world community. And you don't want to alienate people who maybe have like a different interpretation of the COVID fear equation, right? I don't want those people to hate me or not think they can get fit in my place of business. Exactly. So it's tough as a gym owner to be like, well, I need to fight. I need to advocate for what I think is right, my right to be open, and why I think that this is okay. But I also don't, you can't just be fully like bucking what the rules are either and getting yourself penalized and fined and in jail and all this type of stuff. You can lose everything. It's been a very interesting couple of years for sure.
Yeah, and you nailed it. It was just one of those situations, you're like, well, what do you do? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And the right call, I just always went with my gut, and it worked out.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the funner stuff. So,
transition is that you didn't get started as a gym owner to become a martyr. You didn't get started. You know what I mean? Like you didn't be like, I'm going to fight the government because I want to be able to do fitness. So like when you get started, how did you get started? Like what was the journey of you actually like getting your gym? And I think you guys have had some cool transitions of kind of really truly starting to stand on your own 2 feet, just even the brief knowledge that I have of what your history has been. So take us kind of back to that start.
Yeah, it's I can take how far back you guys want to go? It's
when did you take over, or when did the gym pop up?
Your gym.
Yeah.
So I was previously in Iowa training, or I was a director for an association. But then we opened up with my first partner. And so he's like the investor. So we opened up. I mean, at that time, all the craze was obviously CrossFit. And this is very old. This is like, we opened up in 2014, January of 2014. Yeah. And so we were CrossFit for starting out, but right away, I brought on Olympic weightlifting, more of the sports specific training with high school, college athletes, which was always my thing. And then over time, really saw kind of the flaws in the CrossFit part of it. Not saying it's a bad thing, but just the overuse and some of the things. And I always battled with it with my, my background with especially the sports specific, and it didn't sit well with me. So we slowly tried to transition out of that, and had some fight. And then actually when, I met Tyler with Julian, when he did the seminar at my gym, and then the week-long coaches week, after that, I just shifted, totally pivoted, changed all of it. Finally did what I knew I needed to do. It was just, I needed to hear from someone else, and it did wonders. So we haven't been affiliated for a long time. We do not do anything CrossFit. I mean, sure, we'll do the Murph and some hero wads because that stuff's awesome.
Yeah.
For what it stands for. But that whole road of those, I'm putting this in short phrases here, but from that beginning of 2014, to when we changed, there was a lot of growth, a lot of pain in the ass, a lot of long weeks, 80-hour weeks are always a thing. But the thing was, when we shifted and pivoted to what we are now, which is, again, we train almost every power sport, power lifters, Olympic weightlifters. We have strongmen now. I have no idea how that happened.
We just need the room, and you got most of the equipment, and then there's only a few things you got to need. Yeah, strongmen are pretty easy to keep happy as long as you keep the toilets clean.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Phil Dirk, so he's helped out with that.
Yeah.
And my other buddy, Mike Congdon, Mike Struzes, those guys are really good strongmen. So they've helped a lot with that. But then always had like the high school, college athletes. So then our GPP program now, honestly, I train adults like as if they were in sports.
Okay.
They do a lot of sports specific or very generalized. It depends on the time of year, but they just feel good doing that. And we don't do the Metcon game anymore. Haven't in a long time. Still apply a lot of the strong fit principles, but a lot of other things.
Yeah. I think what you've always done, Tyler, that I noticed as soon as the first time we were in your gym, because at that time you were purely CrossFit affiliate, you kind of were trying to find at least some other things to do, but you were always offering multiple tracks that your clients could go through. You had specialty coaches that only coached thing A. You want to talk to a little bit about like some of these ancillary offerings or accessory, or what's the word, auxiliary offerings that you guys
For sure.
made?
Yeah, no, you're right. We have done that, and I'm blessed with an awesome staff. So, we have like Coach Simona. So she does like strictly kettlebell. She's RKC certified. So she's just a fun lady to be around. So people are really drawn to her. We have our powerlifting crew. Fen Cordnoyer, he's been powerlifting more than longer I've been alive. He holds a bunch of records. He's awesome. Very old school, awesome. So then we have Olympic weightlifting, who my coach, Robert Paul Jones. So he was in worlds in the 80s. He came in through the 80s in that circuit and lifted against the best ever.
Yeah.
Hearing those stories is unreal. So he took me under his wing, and then obviously we grew Torque Barbell. We have an awesome team there. We have, Coach Lexi. She does, she's a gymnast at Penn State. So she just knows gymnastics, which is nothing I don't know shit about. And
if a person comes in, so tell me about this. How does this work? Am I buying a membership for just the whole spot and I pop in where I want to go? Or am I buying, like, how does this work for getting people in? When we list all these types of things, I always am interested in how they assemble, and how, if a person wants to do powerlifting, do they have to be coached? Do they not coach? Tell me a little bit about how that flow works.
And that's definitely dependent upon the person, obviously.
Yeah.
So if we have someone who's very new and doesn't know anything, and they're a rookie coming in, then I need to make sure they're coached all the time, right?
Yeah.
We kind of do more block training for them.
Okay.
But I just got a guy coming last week with a few years of experience. So I'm like, hey, we're going to kind of tweak this, what you do, take a look at you. It's really just a snowball effect and seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
Again, try to treat the place how I was coached in college, towards an environment where we're there to train, have a good time, and awesome culture. But really, it really does depend upon the person. Mostly, you'll say a general, someone in there who's general population. Then we want to kind of give them more introductory, put them through the GPP program so that they get a lot of different stimulus, so that you kind of see what they like.
Is this one-on-one stuff or semi-private or small group?
So we have small group, and then the block training is really unique in a sense. So it's 2-3 hours a day, and every single person has their own training, their own programming, and I just kind of walk around and adjust.
So that's a cool model. So people can pick, a couple blocks a day. That's neat, Tyler. I don't think we've talked to you about that part. That's cool, because I've been looking for these versions of this cool way to maybe a go-between between true train on your own, unguided, you just use my space and get the fuck out of here, and also maybe a blended 24-hour access model. But I never liked going all the way to either of those things in my head yet. I hadn't found a way. It's tight. Yeah. This seems kind of cool because there's still coach, you're still someone around, but it's not a fully structured class, so the coaching burden is reduced quite a bit.
It's one of those things, like I tell them, like, you guys are more advanced, so I hold you to a higher standard. Like, I'll shoot your ass if you're messing around.
A lot of that comes from your weight room culture, though, your background in sport, because I know, John, you know the same thing. In like sport weight rooms, a lot of this, some of the best coaching is a coach that like maybe calls you a pussy and then doesn't talk to you again that week. And you know what I mean? But because because what you're doing is you're just going in the weight room and you're getting it done. And there is people need to understand that when it comes to one-on-one coaching or even CrossFit coaching, everyone has a different desire of how they want to be engaged with as a coach. And some people want somebody watching every movement and criticizing every little thing, when the truth is you kind of got to like plant a seed and let them just fucking ride and do the thing and check in when, on safety and fire them up when they need to be, but creating a good vibe and letting the people go loose. We're playing a long game here anyways.
That you nailed it. I say it all the time. So I tell people in the beginning, I'm like, look, it might be boring. Like today, we're just going to work on squats. There's no plan. We're going to plant some seeds, let you grow. We're going to see how you move. Tell me, that way I can see the story of how you move, and we can progress. Rather than, I'm not going to sit there and count every rep, watch everything you do.
John, we talked about this in our last episode too, about like unique ways to kind of fill out and make some money off of the vacant time, all this empty time we often have in gyms. Because Tyler, a lot of gym owners have classes in the morning, in the evening, and maybe like noon. Your traditional place is running on a schedule, with scheduled classes, and this is a cool way to kind of like get a little more out of that time. You can sell, that's a membership component. I think that's a really, really, really cool concept. And I'm sure clients really appreciate it because they can kind of come in and maybe do a little bit of their own thing, and it's not a set fixed time. They kind of roll in the afternoon. I really think that's cool.
Yeah, that's just how we do it. We still have the group session times, but then that's on one side of the gym. The other side is that block training.
Yeah.
And one thing we have changed is we actually do have 24-hour access now.
I like that a lot.
So it was just
how did you do that?
We did after COVID. It just everyone's schedules were so different, and it was just all of a sudden it's just we needed to do it. So it worked out really well.
Do you upcharge that out of your? So yeah, you have to be a member, and then you buy. You don't let people go around the membership or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I like that.
Not everybody wants it either.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's totally fine.
Yeah, that's doing it, Tyler. I wish I would have asked these questions before. This is
That's
exactly cool. The shit we've been riffing on the last couple of weeks, and this has been really kind of cool. I'm happy to hear that. You've done a good job of just throwing stuff together, like those, like not arbitrarily, but like if a thing is worth looking into, you know it's worth trying, and then you figure out if it's worth doing after the fact.
For sure, if it's going to help the gym and make it a better culture fit, my life easier, and brings value, anytime. Why not?
One of the things that I really picked up on, Tyler, is one of the things you're talking a lot about. I mean, you named a bunch of killers that you have that are your people, that are your staff. So many dudes that and female dudes that we're talking to that own their own gyms and business and stuff. They're solopreneurs. They're doing this shit totally on their own.
Yeah.
And I know, or it's like, you know, either they inherited a gym and there happens to be a coach that's kind of always been there, and that's the person that they have. How did you do that? How do you don't like, is it just totally by accident? What was the process where you get like every awesome fucking coach and every possible thing that you want to do to where you're not the person that's on the hook for every goddamn thing that you want to do in your gym?
That's what I still do coach a lot of those things, but I don't like to be the only one doing it. Like I like another voice, especially for I like having like the older cats, like I said, like Fen or Bob, who've been in the game a long time. I'm not gonna I went and got my undergrad, I got my master's, do all this stuff. But they've lived that life as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed coaching over Bob.
Yeah,
from a quality standpoint.
Exactly. So like it's just one of those things. Like I learned from him. So why would I not have him? Like I want those kind of things there. They bring culture and stories. How that happened, I have no idea. It's just kind of it started with Bob and it kind of snowballed. Lexi walked into my gym one day and was like, "I'm looking for a job," and I'm like, "Well, what'd you do?" Right away, I'm like, "Yep." So Fen, my buddy Mad Dog, met him at another gym and was just like, "You got to meet my buddy Tyler," and it's just kind of snowballed.
You even did at some point when I was there, either the first or second time. You had like a whole series of like full spin class equipment and everything.
Yeah, we did for a time.
Yeah,
I finally got rid of that shit.
He was. When I get there, Tyler's got this whole lineup, pretty nice bikes, you know, and there's a lot of them. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then we started chatting about it, and he's like, I'm so tired of these fucking things. And then like by lunch, somebody's coming buying them off of Craigslist. There's like people coming in vans, and Tyler's in the corner wheeling and dealing.
Well, I started running the numbers on when we way back then, we had a lot of memberships for that. And it's because the coach brought a following, and it's one of those things.
It's a sellable product.
I
mean, that's more approachable than CrossFit or strength training or anything off of. If you're talking about stumbling across an ad, you know. Yeah,
no, for sure. And it's just one of those things. The return wasn't there, as far as even people will, and that's when Orange Theory was really starting to blow up. And I'm like, I'm not going to try and be something like that.
Yeah.
And we had to slowly got rid of it, and it worked out. Like it just did. We have more room to do the better things we need to do.
A really cool idea that you just presented, which was you had the bikes, you were doing it, but then you saw something that was becoming very popular, and you're like, fuck this, we're not doing it anymore. Like it was like, I think there's so many folks that are being sold of like, well, copy this, or here's the template, and here's the thing, and do these things, and it's like you're like, this is how I like to train. This is how I like to coach people. This is what I'm doing. And my God, if it starts getting too popular or becoming too much like Peloton, then we're fucking selling all of that piece and we're double downing on like what I only like to do, and everybody can go fuck themselves.
No, you nailed it. Why try to be like someone else? Otherwise, you're just like every other goddamn gym.
Yeah. What's cool though is I also think the principle of like objectively looking at what you're doing and not doing it just for the sake, just because you've done it and you're doing it now and you've always done it. Like we always get into these conversations with gym owners sometimes when we're working with them, and it's like I always have to say, hey, I'm just giving you ideas. You don't got to do it. You don't got to do it. That, you know, I always feel I don't want to be telling people what to do. Yeah. But very often when we get to that point, people are like, oh, I guess I never thought I could just shuck that policy away that I made. I was like, you made it. You know, but it's important for people. You know, it's not like this is what we do has to always be the thing that you always do.
No, and it's, as a gym owner, and I know you know Tyler because you used to own a gym, but people hate change too, though.
Yes.
The thing is, as a gym owner, we get really locked down to being worried of what people think, or you know, the backlash. And I still am to this day, but I've learned a lot of things that have changed. Is finally, I always think about it like at the end of the day, you pay me to tell you what to do. So
that is kind of fit. Yeah.
So we're gonna stick with that. So it's what it is, right?
You know, and I know you had a lot more noise like that though when you were transitioning from a full training methodology. You know, when you were CrossFit and you're trying to work your personal philosophy into what other people's perception of what CrossFit is. Because I don't think CrossFit on its own, because CrossFit can kind of be done in numerous ways, but like, you know, the way people want CrossFit to quote be done to them is frustrating when you're trying to be the one changing that tide. But I think once you clear that now, you can make adjustments and it's not that bad. But I bet that had to be the big one, right?
It was, and you nailed it because we always did it differently anyways. But the thing is, for a time, it was easy to get members because it'd be like, because you had CrossFit, right?
In your name.
Yeah, that was it. Even though they'd come in and they'd be like, I went to this gym and we never did this stuff. And I'm like, cool, but we do the thing.
Yeah.
Well, some people would fight us on that. And then it started it made a really huge flip. And it was before Julian came and I started to see it happening. And I'm like, we got to do something because this isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be, our identity was locked with everyone else's.
Right.
And that was a big thing for me. Like, I don't want to put myself in what that identity is when I don't believe in it.
And even when you do CrossFit and teach it differently and you think more or better, you know, than the next guy or you know, in a way that still means you're doing the same thing as him, just different.
Yeah.
You still got the same name on your thing. And so I think when you fully decide that your identity is not that, and this is the thing I think all gym owners have to struggle with, whatever it is they're doing, what your name is, what your brand is, what your product offerings are. It's like, am I willing to torch this if I don't like how it's representing me? And you should be willing to burn out components, add something, try something. I think that is the process here.
Yep. I knew it was a thing when I wouldn't even wear CrossFit shirts anymore. Like I was like disappointed in myself because it was embarrassing to me, honestly.
For me, it was once I got too big.
Yeah.
Once I got a little too bulky, people were not going to believe that I got that from CrossFit. That was they're like, you're a 340-pound strongman. But like this didn't happen doing burpees, did it?
Muscle up.
And that's the thing. Like it just started to wear on me, and I was like, I'm not doing this long term.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to separate yourself from the pack, you can't be like everyone else. You got to do something different.
What was the biggest thing that you were worried about prior to making that change that ended up being total bullshit?
Losing members, and it was total bullshit. Like we lost, I don't know, I would say maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But then word got out, and things snowball, and all of a sudden we grew exponentially from when we made that adjustment.
Because there are people that would benefit from your coaching and your types of things that like are not going to go to their place when you're a CrossFit gym, and they don't even know that you do the other thing. It's got to become. Look at all the people you have access to now, all the power lifters you've got, your kind of weight room culture. Those people are there very much because there's not CrossFit going on in that room. truthfully. And that's about finding your lane, man. And I think everybody needs to do that. And if CrossFit's your thing and you want, I mean, go for it, but it's got to be your thing.
Yeah. And you're right. And it's funny. I say that as well. Like, we just got to stay in our lane and do the best we can. And sure, you want to kind of maybe look at some trends of things, but I think if you're tried and true and just stick to the thing you're passionate about and really good at, which we've done, and kind of trim the fat, so to speak, then, I mean, that's why we're still standing.
You're what, 8 years in now?
8 years. Yeah.
8 years.
Yeah.
That's a fucking eternity in the coach. You know what I mean? As far as coaching in a gym and owning, like, that's an eternity.
That's the thing. Like, last year was our best year ever financially in 8 years post COVID.
Yeah.
And that was,
How about that?
That was without getting getting like no money from anything. So yeah. Still had to pay taxes on the 1 month's rent I got for PPP. Thanks.
Now that bill comes due.
yeah. Thanks, Minnesota. But
did you ever have a moment you had an investor that was a partner, and as over this 8 years of kind of perfecting this and sharpening what you guys wanted to do, did you ever have a moment where it's kind of like, I don't know if this is really what I want to be doing?
There was. I went down to a university and spoke like year 2 in, and at the time I only had my undergrad at the time, and they had a job opening, and she hinted at me applying for it. I'm like, well, I don't have my master's. She's like, we can get it here, and you'd be paid for. So I was ready to leave. And I kind of told the guys, because we had some stuff going on between owners, because there used to be a few of them. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to jump ship if we don't change some shit. And we did. We changed it. And we bought out one. And then me and the other guy, Neil, once we stayed in our lanes, he's like, dude, you do the thing. I'll check finances. It just took off. And did really, it's done well. We're then he finally just sold the rest to me, and we're still friends to this day. I mean, I don't have to go hunting. He brings me a deer every year. It's great.
How long ago did you get him bought out?
4 years ago.
Okay. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. 4 years. Right. Yeah. 4 years.
Congratulations. That's a big one for gym owners. We've had a few in this past year or so that we've kind of talked to that have like just got out from under that. And that's always a good thing. It is always a good thing. Even like when business partnerships, when they end and go well, it's a good thing. And when they end and they go poorly, it's a good thing that they ended.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Right. It's good either way. Yeah. It was good for him. It was good for me. It was just time. He I think he knew that. So it was just time to do it. And that way there were little things too. Like, he's way more fiscal and like responsible than I am. Cause like I said, if I see something, I want it.
like a pile of spin bikes.
No, yeah. Well, last week alone, I dropped like $2,000 on new toys, and if he was here, he'd be like, "What's all this?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, man?"
What's that?
Yeah. So that's like, I keep putting money back into it, but members love that, and we're in a position to do it. And I want them to train. Like, if you're in my gym, it might be small, but everything is there that you need to train.
Yeah.
Everything. And if you can't find it, then you're in the wrong gym.
Yeah. I take it. John, we want to go to the last question, or do you got one first?
I have one question because I wish I lived near you, because it would be a gym that would be worth going to. Would actually be worth going to. Although the gyms around my area are just horseshit. It's either just glorified Globo gyms that may have power in the name, and it's just like a local global gym that's created. But like your model of like the block training from my years playing football, it's like, oh, that's exactly like, I would rather have a guy that's kind of be like, so are you just being a pussy today, or are you going to squat or whatever? Like, that would be awesome to have that type of thing again. Anyway, I digress. So my question is, you have the gym as a whole, but and it's because you referenced a phrase earlier, so I wanted to clarify it. You said we have torque barbell. It's almost like you referenced it like it was a club or a separate thing within the entity. Yeah. Is that accurate?
It is. So, yes. About that. So that's kind of what we constitute as our like Olympic weightlifting and our powerlifting clubs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what. So those are competitive, like our teams. So like we have Olympic weightlifting meet here in March. It's always a big one. We had like 70 lifters last year. So And then, go ahead.
No, that's what I dig. That's what I like fleshing out. So like, it's that
Yeah.
idea of, because it's taking Stone and I, when we're talking to gym owners, we're trying to figure things out and trying to really just, a lot of time it's supporting the gym owner, be like, well, do you have a coach that's hungry, as a go-getter, has a certain area that they want to specialize in, to where that's like the baby step, because the eventual, like, what would be awesome is the idea where you do have a club that's focused on a very particular skill set that just kind of, it sounds like a little bit like what you guys got.
Yeah. And
it's very interesting to hear about how that started and how you were able to foster that within the gym.
So that's the thing. As soon as we opened, we started that right away.
That's cool.
Weightlifting club. And I was about a year in, and I'd been doing it previously and competing quite a bit. But then that's where we brought Bob in. He helped me a lot. And then from there, it took off.
Is it accurate to say that you have a coach, like, you're interested? It sounds like to me like Bob was was Bob like your coach, or you're finding people that would be awesome to be like your coach?
Yep.
And it's well, then I can also expose you to a gym so that we can all be successful, but I really would like you to be able to coach me.
That's how it started.
Be more badass.
Yeah, that's how it started. He came in and he was coaching me, and it progressed from there. And I always say coaches need coaches. So he coached me, and then we just saw eye to eye. And he's almost like a father figure, to be honest. He's a good man. So the relationship took off, and I mean, he still comes in all the time. He comes in weekly. He won't let me pay him, because then it's a thing. So I pay him in clothes and liquor.
Which don't we all want to be paid in liquor?
Yeah, but life is easier that way. Yeah. That's how that fostered, and it's been great. Same thing with my buddy Joel with the strongman stuff. We were just he was actually on our podcast, and we're kind of like, we should hang out. And then all of a sudden he's like, we should have meets at your gym. I'm like, okay. So we do static monsters and some other things, and so he's there weekly with some clients of his. So it's just it's always still. I always say I wanted the gym to be kind of like a safe haven for people, in a sense. Just to be that release. That's kind of the culture we have. It's kind of a good old boys club where we talk shit, have fun. But at the same time, people will go there, kind of unleash themselves, and if they have something going on in their lives. And that's just how it's been.
Yeah. The barbell club is such a neat idea, because if you're choosing to compete in a sport, God, it's the perfect thing is to assemble these people into a team, because one, they're going to get good quality coaching. It might be the best coaching they're going to get amongst a team of other people that recognize that this is good coaching. But the best part is they're obviously going to train at your gym then. You know what I mean? Like if you got the weightlifting club, that's a reason I kind of encourage, if you're in a place where weightlifting isn't popular, you need to kind of start something. If you're coaching weightlifting, start defining that as a club, as something separate. So, something separate, so that maybe you can offer a separate program when you get a coach who's fired up to do weightlifting, because then you can be the place that 5 years from now, literally started weightlifting in your town, or you know what I mean? Like brought it there and made it serious and started hosting meets and started bringing people around. We talk about having a community. Well, the community that we make in our gyms isn't something that we wandered into. We're constantly making it, and we're trying to craft something new all the time, and you're always trying to grow it. And this is a very simple and really fun way to grow it. It's just find someone who likes doing a thing and get a bunch of people together and build around that. And we don't have to have that just be our group classes, which was always the thing that people were doing before. And it's it should be all these tiny little things. I think I've talked about this on other podcasts, but the average individual's lifetime fitness journey is all over the place. It's like play when you're a kid, and maybe this sport and then that sport. And then it might be, you take up swimming for a couple of years, and then you do soccer, and then you get old and you get fat, and then you go start running, and then you start biking, and then you go to a gym. But you go into a CrossFit gym or a place where you're getting coaching, people will do that for a certain amount of time, and then they just need to find something else active to do. And if we're trying to make a healthier culture, what we need to be doing is giving people opportunities to try a new thing, which means if I come in for GPP training and a little bit of weight loss, I can find my way into something that fits me, like maybe strongman training. Or if I was a regular sized person who had interest, I could go into gymnastics or weightlifting or things like that. And I think that's like, if I wanted to design a gym that is designed for longevity, it's that people can come in and like bounce around through all the cool fitness type things that you do, and you just try to do the things you do well.
And that's exactly, you nailed it. That's exactly what we do. So if I'll have people who come in who are interested in weightlifting. I'm like, well, what's your background? And I'm like, you need to go here first. So we kind of think of GPP because you're going to do a little bit of everything. You get a lot of stimulus. You're going to have a lot of growth. That's
and then we get you there when we get you over there.
Exactly.
It's right here for you.
And with kind of going back, with the weightlifting club, that's really what sparked everything. Our gym wouldn't have a culture if we didn't start that right away. Because all of a sudden, like, we're a weightlifting club, but then all of a sudden people, I'd be like, well, we do this too. And they're like, oh, and also we got some power lifters and strongman. I don't know of any other gym where you can see a weightlifter, 3-4 weightlifting girls, and all of a sudden over here you have one of our coaches, Becky, doing strongman log presses, and then back here I have like 3-4 football players training for football. It's fucking madness in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's awesome. A busy place.
But it's awesome. So it's really unique, and we're really lucky. It just happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of me, just people, everybody. So,
it wasn't because of you. That's awesome. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So the dude that loves cigars, motorcycles, heavy metal, and tattoos definitely and a beard has nothing to do with a culture built around strength sports and like the same way that Tyler and I, for sure, anything we're interested in totally has nothing to do with any of those topics either.
No, maybe a little.
Yeah, but that's what's awesome is that the culture wasn't, even though you started a CrossFit gym early on, the culture was actually built around this Olympic weightlifting, this weightlifting club. Opposed to now you're going to attract CrossFitters, but you already were attracting the antithesis of CrossFitters, which is not CrossFitters or strength-based athletes. That, for sure, I know there's people that look like me, sound like me, do the things that I like to do. You're going to attract everybody that's kind of peripheral around that topic. So, of course, strong men and power lifters and weightlifters are all going to come to you guys. It's like a mecca, being like, oh God, finally I can not.
It was definitely the catalyst. I had never thought about it, so we had this discussion, but you're right.
Well, it's just I think you can do it, if people out there get into, if you're coaching out of a gym and you start coaching, say like a group, a specialty group to say, I've done this for with like youth wrestlers, right? We have the whole team. I just coach them in a time slot, right? We've done that before. But you can do that for any number of things. Put together a running club. Like the more formal and club-based these things are, the more legs they've got. And you just, the nice thing is that, damn well, it didn't require a massive investment of money. It was just we called it this thing and we fucking stuck by it, and I tried to build it. I just tried to build it by talking to people about it. And so this is a way you guys want to make your shit last a long time. I think that's a really interesting way you can do that. That's one layer, and you can have 5 of those layers, different things, different clubs running at the same time. And
for sure.
And I think then you've got a really, really special facility. Not that you don't already, but I want to get to our wrap-up question here, Tyler. If you had to give one piece of advice to anyone who's looking at starting a gym, what advice would you give them?
Oof, fuck.
You're going to start over.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because I've had a decent amount of people come to me and ask me, or I want to open up a gym and they want to like intern and learn, and then they're like, oh, I have to like do a lot. I would say everyone has a different path. I know for me, I just put my head down and just do the fucking work. As stupid as it is, I don't know if everyone has that in them. Because any successful owner or anyone in business or anyone, whatever career it may be, it's just doing the goddamn work. And the thing is, you have to be resilient to criticism. And I would say, obviously, sticking to your guns and stay in your path, as Tyler said, or staying in your lane. As soon as I all the time, people have all these ideas, or, we shouldn't shift this way. The gym should be this. And I'm like, no, just keep doing what you truly believe in. And again, I think people see that, especially if you're really genuine. And that's where they want to be led by someone that way, right? You don't want some guy who's in it for trying to sell you a bunch of supplements and a bunch of bullshit. Because at the end of the day, it's about money.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna, those places come and go. Those people come and go. Right.
Yeah.
So I think if you got to live the life, otherwise that's it.
Yeah.
You live the life and that's it.
Well, one of the good things that you've done too, though, is while not making it about money, you've made goddamn sure that you're able to make money.
Yeah.
That is important. The one thing I know I want to make sure that I translate that out is that you do not advocate that people be martyrs, and that's why you got to be savvy with your business, not just out there giving away your service or underselling yourself. Yeah.
And you nailed it. It's that is a hard thing, because there's times where you're like, you do have to give quite a bit to get a lot.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It happens later. I tell people, like, dude, I do well now. I could do, you always do better, right?
Yeah.
But I always think back to the year previously. And as long as you're still on the incline, you're good. My first year, I remember when I went to our second location, I had to borrow $20 from my roommate just to fucking drive my car there, because I was $500 in the hole of my account. My credit card was maxed out. I had no money. Yep. Like, it's like, and every bill under the sun that I couldn't pay. So it's not easy. It sucks. A lot of, Tyler, it's not.
Of course.
It is not. Any business owner could probably tell you the same thing. It's a lot of nights lying awake, like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this? But then, well, do I want to work in a cubicle or something I hate doing? I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah. Well, once you find out the thing you like doing, it might as well work for you instead of you just working for it. So, Tyler, thanks a bunch, man. This has been a great conversation. A pleasure catching up. Guys, you can find it's Torque SC on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
And Torque, it's still TorqueSC.com as well. Is that correct?
It is. Yep.
Yes. Awesome.
And our source performance side is just Torque Performance Labs on IG as well.
Awesome. And you can find me on Instagram at Tyler Evanstone. You can find the show at the Gym Owners Podcast. And John?
You can find me at JBanksFL.
Thanks a lot for listening, guys. Leave us a 5-star review. Check out Torque Strength and Conditioning, Torque Barbell. Check out Tyler Reiter. Thanks to Tyler for joining us today. Make sure you go to gymhacking.com and go to community.hackyourgym.com to get into the Facebook group and join a group of gym owners who are trying to do the thing. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.